I stood in the doorway of my beach house, the one place I'd saved 30 years to buy, and watched a complete stranger walk out of my bedroom wearing my dead husband's bathrobe. My daughter, Emma, smiled at me like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't just rented out my sanctuary to tourists without asking, like the home I'd bought to heal wasn't now filled with strangers' laughter echoing through rooms that still smelled like grief. "Mom, you're early," she said, as if I needed permission to visit my own property. That's when I realized my children hadn't just crossed a line, they'd erased it completely. And I was about to show them exactly what happens when you mistake your mother's kindness for weakness. Before the story begins, subscribe and tell me where you're watching from.
My name is Margaret Chen. I'm 62 years old, and for the first time in my adult life, I don't recognize my own children. I bought the beach house in Cape May 8 months after Robert died. Lung cancer, non-smoker. The cruelest joke life ever played on us. We'd planned to buy it together after he retired, but cancer doesn't wait for retirement parties. So I bought it alone, with the life insurance money that felt like blood money in my hands. Robert and I had been looking at beach houses for years. Every anniversary, we'd drive down the coast pretending we were house hunting. We'd walk through open houses, holding hands, imagining which room would be his office, where I'd put my reading nook, how we'd spend our mornings watching the sunrise with coffee. It was our dream, our future. The reward for 42 years of working hard, raising kids, building a life together. Then he got sick. It started with a cough he couldn't shake. Probably just a cold, he'd say, waving off my concerns. But I knew. Somewhere deep in my gut, I knew something was wrong. By the time we got him to a doctor, it had already spread. Stage 4. Inoperable. 6 months. Maybe a year if we were lucky. We got 4 months. 4 months of treatments that made him too sick to eat. 4 months of watching the strongest man I'd ever known become fragile and small. 4 months of sleeping in hospital chairs and learning to say goodbye in 1,000 different ways. 4 months of him apologizing for leaving me, as if he had any control over it. The last thing he said to me was, "Buy the beach house, Maggie. Don't wait. Promise me." So I didn't wait. The realtor kept calling it an investment property. I kept correcting her. "It's a healing place," I'd say. She'd smile that professional smile and nod, but she didn't understand. How could she? She hadn't spent 42 years married to her best friend only to lose him to a disease that hollowed him out in 6 months. "We made it, Robert," I said. "We finally got our beach house." I have 3 children. Emma, 35, a real estate agent with an MBA and opinions about everything. She'd always been the responsible one, the planner, the child who had her entire life mapped out by the time she was 12. Straight A's, full scholarship, fast-track career. She made 6 figures by the time she was 30 and never let anyone forget it. James, 32, a software developer who thinks every problem has a technological solution. He was my logical child, the one who could fix anything with code or algorithms or data analysis. He'd been trying to get me to use meditation apps and grief counseling platforms since the funeral, as if an algorithm could heal a broken heart. And Sophie, 28, who followed her siblings' lead in everything. She was my baby, my sensitive one, or at least she used to be. She'd become more like Emma over the years, practical, efficient, always thinking 3 steps ahead. Sometimes I miss the little girl who used to cry over sad movies and bring me dandelions like they were roses. When I bought the house, they were supportive. Well, they seemed supportive. Emma had helped me with the paperwork, reviewing contracts, negotiating the price down by $15,000. Mom, you have to think of this as an investment, she'd said. Make sure you're getting good value. I didn't care about value. I cared about the view, about the way the light came through the windows in the morning, about the sound of the waves that reminded me of Robert's breathing when he slept beside me. James set up the security system, cameras, smart locks, the works. You're going to be here alone a lot, he'd said. I want to make sure you're safe. He'd shown me how to monitor everything from my phone, how to lock and unlock doors remotely, how to check if windows were open. It felt like too much technology for a grief retreat, but I'd let him do it because it made him feel useful. Sophie picked out curtains with me over FaceTime. We'd spent hours scrolling through websites, debating between light filtering and blackout, between coastal blues and neutral beiges. Get what makes you happy, Mom, she'd said. This is your space. We'd even planned family weekends there. Just us, remembering Dad, healing together. First weekend of every month, Emma had suggested. We'll make it a tradition. Keep Dad's memory alive. The first 3 months, I went every weekend. I'd drive the 2 hours from Philadelphia on Friday afternoons, my car packed with groceries, books, and Robert's favorite jazz records. Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Billie Holiday. I'd play them loud with the windows open, singing along even though I can't carry a tune, because Robert used to say my off-key singing was his favorite sound in the world. I'd spend Saturday morning on the porch with coffee, watching the sunrise. Robert and I had always been early risers. We'd joke that we'd sleep when we were dead, and then suddenly he was. And I couldn't sleep at all. So I'd watch the sunrise and pretend he was watching it with me, telling me about what color orange that was or how the clouds looked like something ridiculous, a duck, a pirate ship, his mother's judgmental face. Saturday afternoon, I'd walk the beach, collecting shells like I was collecting pieces of myself. I'd find the broken ones, the weathered ones, the ones that had been tumbled smooth by waves and time. I'd bring them back to the house and line them up on the windowsill, my collection of beautiful broken things. Sunday, I'd sit in Robert's reading chair and I'd talk to him, tell him about my week, about how work was exhausting, how the hospital was understaffed, how I'd burned dinner again because I forgot I wasn't cooking for 2 anymore. I'd cry when I needed to, laugh when I remembered the good parts. Sometimes I'd just sit there in silence, feeling close to him in a way I couldn't feel anywhere else. It was working. Slowly, like ice melting. I was thawing. Then work got busy. I'm a hospital administrator, and we were going through a major transition. Budget cuts, staff shortages. The pandemic had changed everything, and we were still trying to recover. I was working 12-hour days, coming home exhausted, barely able to think about anything except the next crisis. I missed 2 weekends in a row, then 3. Then a month had passed, and I hadn't been to the beach house at all. I felt guilty, like I was abandoning Robert all over again, like I was wasting the space I'd bought to honor him. But I was so tired, so completely emptied out. The thought of driving 2 hours, even to my sanctuary, felt like too much. I texted the family group chat, "Missing the beach house. Can't wait to get back soon." Emma responded immediately, "Don't worry, Mom, we're keeping an eye on it." I should have known something was wrong by how quickly she responded. Emma never texts back that fast unless she wants something or she's already 10 steps ahead of you in a plan you don't know about yet. But I was drowning in budget meetings and staffing crises. I trusted my children. Why wouldn't I? I'd raised them to be honest, responsible, kind. I taught them that family comes first, that trust is sacred, that what's mine is theirs, and what's theirs is mine. Turns out, they'd taken that last lesson a little too literally. 4 weeks after my last visit, I decided to surprise them. I'd been so stressed, so tired, so desperately needing the sound of waves and the smell of salt air. I'd left work early on a Thursday, something I never did. I told my assistant I had a doctor's appointment. She didn't question it. I'd lost 20 pounds since Robert died. Everyone was always worried about me, always giving me those soft, pitying looks. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I wanted the quiet, just me and the house and the ocean and Robert's memory. I wanted to sit in his chair and cry without anyone trying to fix it. I wanted to be alone with my grief in the one place where that felt okay. The drive down was beautiful. Early October, the leaves just starting to turn. I had the windows down, Miles Davis playing, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something like peace settling into my bones. That peace shattered the moment I pulled into the driveway. 3 cars I didn't recognize: a BMW, a Tesla, and a Jeep with out-of-state plates. I figured maybe Emma was showing a property nearby and borrowed the driveway. She'd done it before when the beach area got crowded with tourists. But then I noticed the lockbox on the front door. Professional, metal, the kind property managers use for rental properties. My hands started shaking as I pulled out my key. It still worked, at least they hadn't changed the locks completely, but when I turned the handle, something felt different. The weight of the door, the sound it made. I stepped inside and everything was wrong. The entryway looked like a magazine spread. A bench I'd never seen before sat by the door with a basket of beach towels and a chalkboard sign that said, "Welcome to Paradise," in careful cursive. The walls had been painted. My soft cream color was gone, replaced by a trendy gray-blue. The furniture had been rearranged. My cozy personal layout had been transformed into something out of an Airbnb listing. Everything was positioned for photographs, not comfort, not living. My personal photos, the ones of Robert and I on our honeymoon in Paris, the kids growing up, our family portrait from Sophie's college graduation, they were gone, completely gone, replaced by generic beach art, a massive canvas of a lighthouse, another of a sailboat, inspirational quotes about ocean waves and finding yourself and living your best life. The kind of soulless decoration you'd find in a hotel room, designed to be universally appealing and personally meaningless. I walked further into the living room, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it over the sound of the waves outside. Robert's reading chair was gone. In its place was a modern accent chair, gray velvet, gold legs, the kind that looked expensive and uncomfortable, the kind designed to be photographed for Instagram, not sat in for hours with a good book and bad coffee. I heard laughter upstairs, footsteps, running water, multiple voices, music playing, some pop song I didn't recognize, strangers, in my house, in my sanctuary, in the place where I'd been rebuilding myself piece by fragile piece. I walked toward the stairs like I was in a dream, the bad kind, the kind where you're screaming but no sound comes out, the kind where you're running but your legs won't move fast enough, the kind where everything familiar has been twisted into something alien and wrong. The stairs had a new runner, beige with a subtle pattern, professional installation. My bare wooden stairs were gone. Halfway up, I passed a gallery wall of more beach photos. Not my beaches, not my memories, just stock imagery of perfect sunsets and perfect families and perfect moments that never existed. I reached the landing. The bathroom door was open. New fixtures, new mirror, new everything. A basket of premium toiletries sat on the counter, the expensive kind from boutique stores. A sign in a decorative frame. Wash away your worries. The master bedroom door was open. I could see inside. See my bed. Except it wasn't my bed anymore. New duvet, new pillows, new everything. And a couple in their 30s was taking selfies on it. My bed. The one I'd carefully chosen because the mattress was the right firmness from my bad back. The one I'd spent hours picking out sheets for, trying to find the thread count that felt right. The one with the view of the ocean, where I'd spent countless mornings watching the sunrise and talking to Robert like he was still beside me. They were laughing, making kissy faces at the camera, completely oblivious to the woman standing in the doorway having a complete breakdown. "Oh," the woman said, finally noticing me. She lowered her phone, not embarrassed, just mildly surprised. "Are you with the cleaning service? We don't check out until tomorrow, but if you need to grab something quick, that's totally fine. We're super low-maintenance guests." I couldn't speak. My throat had closed up completely. I just stood there, staring, trying to understand how this was real, how this was my life. How I'd gone from planning my husband's funeral to watching strangers take vacation selfies in the bed where I'd cried myself to sleep for months. The man came out of the bathroom, wearing Robert's bathrobe, the navy blue one with his initials embroidered on the pocket, RJC, Robert James Chen, the one I'd given him for our 30th anniversary. The one he'd worn every morning while he read the newspaper and drank his coffee. The one I'd kept because it still smelled like his cologne, even after I'd washed it twice, trying to clean it but hoping to keep some trace of him. The one I'd sometimes wrap around myself when the grief got too heavy, pretending his arms were around me one more time. This stranger had it wrapped around his wet body. Water droplets from his shower were darkening the fabric. "The shower pressure is amazing," he told his wife, running a hand through his damp hair. "Seriously, best Airbnb bathroom we've stayed in. We should definitely leave a 5-star review. Maybe mention the rainfall showerhead specifically." His wife nodded enthusiastically. "And the view! Oh my God, babe! Let's get a sunrise photo tomorrow morning. The listing photos didn't do it justice." They were reviewing my grief like it was a vacation amenity. That's when I heard my daughter's voice downstairs. "Mom, is that you?" Emma appeared at the top of the stairs. And for just a second, one beautiful, naive second, I thought maybe this was all a misunderstanding. Maybe she'd caught these people breaking in. Maybe she was here to help me call the police. Maybe there was some explanation that would make this okay. "You're early," she said. Not too fast, not too slow. Not, "What are these people doing here?" Not, "I can explain." Not, "Mom, I'm so sorry, this isn't what it looks like." Just, "You're early." Like I'd interrupted her plans in my house. "Emma," my voice came out flat, dead, like something inside me had just shut down completely. "What is happening?" She glanced at the couple, then back at me, and I watched her face shift into what I call her professional mode, the smile that's not quite real, the tone that's just a little too bright, the persona she uses with difficult clients who don't understand why their dream home is actually outside their budget.
Why don't we talk downstairs? The couple exchanged looks. The man pulled a robe, Robert's robe, my husband's robe, tighter around himself. The woman clutched her phone like it was a shield. Is there a problem? The woman asked, and now there was an edge to her voice. That entitled tone people get when they've paid for something and feel their experience is being compromised. We paid for the full weekend. The listing said quiet, private, no disturbances.
No problem at all, Emma chirped, and I watched her slip fully into realtor mode, all polish and reassurance. Just a small family matter. Nothing that affects your stay whatsoever. Please continue enjoying your vacation. There are fresh towels in the linen closet if you need them, and the beach chairs are in the garage. Feel free to take them down to the water. Best spot is about 50 yards south, where the dunes break. She was giving them directions to my beach, my spot, the place where I scattered shells and talked to my dead husband. I followed Emma downstairs, my legs moving automatically while my brain tried to process what was happening. Each step felt surreal. The new stair runner under my feet, the generic beach photos on the walls, the sound of strangers in my bedroom. Everything was wrong, everything. The living room had been completely transformed. A professional guest book sat on the coffee table, leather-bound, expensive, with a pen attached by a silk ribbon. I could see entries in multiple handwriting styles. Amazing weekend, perfect getaway, can't wait to come back. A binder labeled House Rules and Local Recommendations was displayed prominently on the side table. I picked it up with shaking hands. Inside were laminated pages, Wi-Fi password, trash day schedule, nearby restaurants, beach badge information, checkout procedures, rules about noise, pets, smoking, extra guests, rules for my house that I didn't write. A basket of travel-sized toiletries sat by the door with a sign that said, "Forgot something? Help yourself." Toothbrushes, toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, lotion, razors, all branded with the house logo, a little line drawing of the house with Serenity Beach Cottage underneath. They'd named my grief, branded it, turned it into a product. "Sit down, Mom," Emma said gently, gesturing to the couch. Not the couch I'd bought, a different one, newer, gray with white piping, more photogenic, uncomfortable. I sat anyway because my legs wouldn't hold me anymore. "Where is Robert's chair?" I asked. My voice sounded strange, too quiet, too controlled. Like if I spoke any louder, I'd start screaming and never stop. "Mom? Where is his chair, Emma?" She flinched, actually physically recoiled like I'd hit her. Good. Maybe I should have. "In storage," she said after a long pause. "It didn't fit the aesthetic we were going for. But it's completely safe, I promise. Climate-controlled facility. We can get it back whenever you want." The aesthetic. I repeated the words slowly, testing them in my mouth. They tasted like poison. "You put your father's chair, the chair he sat in every single night for 30 years, in storage for the aesthetic." "You weren't using the house," Emma said, and now there was an edge to her voice. Defense masquerading as reason. That tone she used when she thought someone was being unreasonable. "You were here 3 times in 2 months, Mom. That's it. 3 times. Meanwhile, this place just sat empty. Do you know how much money that is in lost opportunity? Do you have any idea what the carrying costs are on a property like this?" Lost opportunity. I stood up, sat back down. My hands didn't know what to do. They wanted to hit something, throw something, destroy something. "This isn't an investment property, Emma. This is my home. My home.
I bought it to heal, to have a place that's mine, to, my voice cracked, to feel close to your father. And you can still do that, Emma said, pulling out her phone. Always the phone, always the solution in an app. Look, I made a shared calendar. See, you're blocked out for the second weekend of every month, plus any holidays you want. Thanksgiving, Christmas, your birthday, Dad's birthday, whatever you need.
She turned the phone toward me. I stared at the screen. A color-coded calendar. Green for booked, blue for blocked, red for maintenance. My life reduced to colored squares. I have to ask permission, I said slowly, to visit my own house? I have to give you 2 weeks' notice? Like I'm a guest, like I'm renting it from you. That's not how it is. Then how is it, Emma? Explain it to me, because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've stolen my house and turned it into a business. We didn't steal anything. Emma's professional mask was cracking. I could see frustration bleeding through. We're just managing it for you, making sure it's actually generating value instead of sitting empty while you... She stopped, caught herself. That I heard what she didn't say. While I what? I asked. While I grieve? While I heal? While I take more than 3 months to get over losing my husband to 42 years? Is that what you were going to say? That's not fair, Emma protested.
Fair? I laughed. It came out harsh and broken. You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that I lost my husband? Is it fair that I can't even have one place that's mine to heal? Is it fair that my own children decided they knew better than me about what I needed? How long, I asked, cutting her off. How long have you been doing this? Emma hesitated, just for a second, but I saw it, saw her calculating whether to lie, whether to minimize, whether to try to make it sound better than it was. 3 months, she finally admitted. 3 months, a quarter of a year, 90 days, 13 weekends. While I'd been drowning in work and grief, too exhausted to make the drive, my children had been renting out my sanctuary to strangers. 13 different groups of people had slept in my bed, showered in my bathroom, walked on my beach, sat in my living room. 13 groups of strangers had made memories in the space I'd bought to preserve my own.
And James? Sophie? They know about this? Emma's hesitation told me everything. It was a family decision, she finally said, and now she wouldn't meet my eyes. We all agreed. We had a meeting about it. Mom, you spent almost $400,000 on this place. You're barely using it. The property taxes alone are $12,000 a year. Insurance is another $3,000. Utilities, maintenance, upkeep, it's expensive. We're just trying to help you maximize the asset. I'm not maximizing anything, I shouted. The couple upstairs went quiet. I could hear them listening. I didn't care. I'm healing. I'm trying to figure out how to live without your father. I'm trying to remember what it feels like to be a whole person instead of half of something that's been ripped apart. I'm trying to... My phone buzzed. Then again. Then a third time. A text from James. Emma said you're at the beach house. Everything okay?
Then Sophie. Mom, please don't be mad. We were going to tell you. Then a group message from all three. Can we please talk about this calmly? When? I looked up at Emma, holding my phone out like evidence in a trial. When were you going to tell me? After you'd made enough money? After you'd fully converted my home into a business? After you'd erased every trace of your father from this place?
It's not like that, Emma protested, but her voice wavered. The money goes into a shared account for family expenses, for the house itself. We used some to fix the roof. Remember, it was leaking? The HVAC needed servicing. The deck had some rotted boards we replaced. These are things you would have had to pay for anyway. With my money from my house after asking me. I was standing now, pacing. You don't get to decide how to spend my money. You don't get to make decisions about my property. You don't get to...
Mom, you're not thinking clearly. Emma's professional mask slipped completely. I saw frustration flash across her face. Real frustration. The kind she usually hid behind careful politeness. You haven't been thinking clearly since Dad died. We're trying to help you. We're trying to make sure you don't make financial decisions based on emotion. This house is worth a fortune, and you're letting it sit here like a shrine, like a museum to Dad. That's not healthy. That's not productive. That's not... The word hit me like a physical blow. Shrine. She'd called it a shrine. Like honoring my husband was pathetic. Like keeping his memory alive was irrational. Like my grief had an expiration date and I'd exceeded it. Get out, I whispered. Mom, get out of my house. Mom, please, can we just... Now, Emma, get out now. She grabbed her bag, her phone, her keys. The professional mask was gone completely. Now she just looked angry. Fine, but you're making a mistake. You're letting emotion cloud your judgment. Dad wouldn't want you living like this.
Don't you dare, I said, my voice dropping to something dangerous. Don't you dare tell me what your father would want. You don't get to use him to justify stealing from me. It's not stealing if we're family, Emma shot back. Everything we did was for the family, for you. But you're too wrapped up in your grief to see it. She left. The door slammed behind her. The sound echoed through the house that didn't feel like mine anymore. I stood alone in the living room, listening to the strangers upstairs laugh at something, listening to them enjoy their vacation in my trauma. Listening to the waves outside that used to sound like peace, but now sounded like accusation. My phone was exploding with messages. James, Mom, let's talk about this rationally. Emma showed us the numbers. You're barely breaking even on property taxes and maintenance. From a purely financial standpoint, I'm sorry, Mom, but honestly, I thought you'd be happy we were taking care of the place, making sure it didn't just sit empty. We were trying to help. I can't cancel the reservation upstairs without a substantial penalty. They've already paid in full. The cancellation policy clearly states, can we please discuss this after they check out tomorrow? I'll come back. We can talk like adults. I turned off my phone. I walked to where Robert's chair used to be, stood in the empty space. The floor was slightly darker there, an outline where furniture had protected the wood from sunlight, evidence that something important used to exist here. I sat down on the floor in that spot, put my back against the wall, drew my knees up to my chest like a child. And I cried. Not the gentle, healing tears I'd cried here before, not the bitter-sweet sadness of missing someone I loved. This was something else, something raw. The kind of crying that comes from betrayal, from violation, from realizing that the people you trust most in the world can hurt you in ways strangers never could. For the first time since Robert died,
I understood what people meant when they said they felt truly alone. Because the people who were supposed to protect me, to understand me, to honor what I needed, they decided they knew better. They decided my grief was inconvenient, that my healing process had an expiration date, that my home was just an underutilized asset in need of optimization. I cried until the sun set, until the couple upstairs went out to dinner, until the house was quiet, except for the waves. Then I stood up, wiped my face, and started planning. They thought they could take my house? Fine, let them try. But Margaret Chin didn't spend 42 years married to a brilliant lawyer without learning a few things about property rights, contracts, and exactly how to protect what's mine.
I spent that night documenting everything. Screenshots of the Airbnb listing, Serenity Beach Cottage, 4.9 stars, 83 reviews, photos of every changed detail, the guest book entries, the fake artwork, the absence of everything that made this place mine. At sunrise, I sat on the porch and waited for the couple to leave. They came down at 10, all smiles and vacation glow, loading their car. "Thank you so much," they called out, waving. "We'll definitely be back." The moment their car disappeared, I called the locksmith, then my lawyer, then a property management company, the legitimate kind. "I need every booking canceled," I told the manager, "immediately. I don't care about penalties." "Ma'am, that could be thousands of dollars." "I don't care. Cancel them all." Emma showed up 2 hours later with James and Sophie. She had a key, but it didn't work anymore. She knocked, then pounded. "Mom, this is ridiculous. We need to talk." I opened the door, but stood blocking the entrance. "This is my house. You're not welcome here." James tried his reasonable voice. "Mom, you're making a rash decision. We were trying to help. Can we please just discuss this like adults?" "Adults who steal property?" I asked. "Adults who erase their father's memory for profit? Those kinds of adults?" Sophie's eyes filled with tears. "We thought we were helping. The house was just sitting here, and you seemed so lost." "How much?" I interrupted, looking at Emma. "How much money did you make?" She hesitated. "About $38,000. The number was a gut punch. They'd made nearly $40,000 renting out my grief to strangers. "I want every penny," I said calmly, "transferred to my account by Monday. And I want Dad's chair back today." "That's not fair," James started. "Fair?" My voice rose. "You want to talk about fair? You made decisions about my life, my property, my grief. You decided I'd had enough time to heal. You erased your father from this place like he was inconvenient, like we were inconvenient." The words hit them. I saw it register. "The chair is in storage unit 247 in Millville. I'll transfer the money." "We really were trying to help," Sophie whispered. "Then you should have asked," I said. "You should have respected that this was mine, that I needed it, that grief doesn't run on your timeline or your spreadsheets." I closed the door. Through the window, I watched them stand there for a long moment, Emma's shoulders shaking, James with his head down, Sophie openly crying. Part of me wanted to open the door, to forgive them, to pretend this hadn't shattered something fundamental between us. But I didn't. They left, and I started the work of reclaiming my sanctuary. Next 3 weeks were a blur of undoing. I retrieved Robert's chair. They'd wrapped it carefully, at least. I took down every piece of generic art and rehung our family photos.
I removed the guest books, the welcome signs, the branded toiletries. I rearranged furniture back to how I'd had it. I repainted the walls cream. I brought back my grandmother's quilts. Emma transferred the full $38,000. No note. Just a bank transaction that felt like a receipt for our broken relationship. James sent one text. "We love you, Mom, even if you can't see that we were trying to love you the way we thought you needed." Sophie called twice. I didn't answer. My therapist, the one I'd stopped seeing because I thought the beach house was enough, listened to everything. They didn't ask, I told her. That's what hurts most. They just decided about my property, my grief, my healing. "And how do you feel now?" she asked. "Angry, betrayed, lonely, guilty." I paused. Guilty because they're my children, because maybe they thought they were helping, because I can see how I might have looked impractical to them. "But grief isn't impractical," she said gently, "and you're allowed to need what you need, even if they don't understand it." I'm still working on believing that.
The beach house is mine again. I go every weekend. Sometimes I sit in Robert's chair and cry. Sometimes I walk the beach and feel almost peaceful. Sometimes I just exist in the space, letting it hold me. Emma sent a real apology last week, not a justification, an actual apology. She admitted she'd been wrong, that she tried to fix my grief instead of honoring it. She asked if we could talk sometime. I'm not ready yet, but maybe someday. James and Sophie apologized too. They're young. They haven't lost a spouse. They don't understand what it's like to have your whole identity wrapped in another person, then have that person ripped away. Last weekend, I brought Robert's ashes to the beach. I'd kept them in our bedroom, but it was time. I scattered half in the ocean at sunset, keeping half because I'm not ready to let go completely. "This is our place now," I told him, told the waves, told myself. No one gets to take it from us again.
And for the first time in months, standing there alone on the beach as the sun set, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I was going to be okay. The house feels like mine again. Every morning, I wake up to the sound of waves instead of strangers' footsteps. I've started a new ritual, coffee on the porch at sunrise, just like Robert and I planned. Sometimes I talk to him out loud. Sometimes I just sit in silence. Both feel okay now. I've learned something important through all of this. Healing isn't linear. It doesn't follow a schedule or a spreadsheet. It doesn't care about property values or lost opportunities. And the people who love you most can sometimes hurt you deepest. Not because they're cruel, but because they think they know better than you do about what you need. My children made a choice. They chose practicality over my pain, profit over my process, their timeline over my truth. And maybe they thought they were being helpful. Maybe they genuinely believed they were doing the right thing, but they weren't. Because the right thing would have been to ask, to listen, to trust that a 62-year-old woman who'd been managing her own life for decades might actually know what she needs to heal from the worst loss she'd ever experienced. I've started going to a grief support group. I met another widow there, Patricia. Her kids tried to get her to sell her husband's car because she wasn't driving it. She kept it, parks it in the garage, sits in it sometimes, and remembers road trips. Nobody gets it except her and me and the others in that room who understand that grief needs space and time and objects that hold memories. The beach house has become what I needed it to be, a place where I can be broken without anyone trying to fix me, where I can miss Robert without apology, where I can heal at my own pace in my own way. I'm not the same person I was before he died. I'll never be that person again. But I'm becoming someone new, someone who knows her boundaries, someone who protects her sacred spaces, someone who understands that sometimes love means saying no to the people you love most. Next month is Thanksgiving, and Emma asked if we could have it at the beach house. Like we planned, she said, as a family. I told her no, not yet. Maybe next year, maybe never. I haven't decided. Because this year, I'm having Thanksgiving alone. Just me and Robert's chair and the ocean and the memory of 42 years of gratitude for a man who loved me completely. And that's enough. It has to be. So here's what I want to know. If your kids did this to you, turned your healing space into their business without asking, could you forgive them? Would you let them back in? Or would you protect your boundaries and keep your sanctuary yours alone? Drop a comment below, because honestly, I'm still figuring out if forgiveness means letting them back into this house or just learning to live with the fact that some betrayals change everything forever.